Have you ever wondered if you're wasting your life with the wrong person? Maya thought she had everything she was supposed to want: a kind boyfriend, a steady relationship, moments of real happiness. But every time she saw couples online living these extraordinary love stories, every time she heard someone talk about love at first sight, a voice whispered in the back of her mind, "What if you're settling?" And the people around her didn't help. You two seem more like friends than a couple. Where's the passion? Don't you want something special? Eventually, Maya reached a breaking point, an impossible choice between the quiet certainty she already had and the promise of something more intense, more dramatic, more cinematic. What she chose would change everything. Welcome to Lost Stories in Lyrics, the place where stories come to life and inspire transformation. Where are you from? Drop it in the comments. Maya swiped through her dating app one more time, scrolling past profiles that blurred together into a mix of smiling photos and bios trying way too hard to be funny. 3 months on the app and she was already exhausted. Not by the process itself, but by the performative fakeness of it all. Every profile felt like an edited version of a real person, each one trying to sell the best possible version of themselves in 6 carefully curated photos. She was about to close the app when a profile popped up. Lucas, 29. The first photo was simple, him at a park, smiling in a genuine, almost shy way, wearing a basic t-shirt. No overly posed shots, no gym mirror selfies. His bio was straightforward: nurse. I like coffee, thriller novels, and people who can laugh at themselves. No photos of me climbing mountains, sorry. Maya laughed. There was something refreshing about that effortless honesty. She swiped right. The match came almost immediately, and Lucas's first message was just as low-key. "So, you don't have mountain climbing photos either?" The conversation flowed naturally, without the usual games of waiting hours to reply or trying to seem more interesting than they actually were. They talked about work, about the show they both happened to be watching, about how weird it was to meet people through a screen. When Lucas suggested grabbing coffee, Maya said yes without the dramatic nerves that rom-coms insisted she should feel. Their first date was at a tiny coffee shop near the hospital where Lucas worked. There was no cinematic moment where their eyes met and the world stopped. Maya showed up 5 minutes late, hair slightly messy from rushing over. Lucas was already there, with a coffee stain on his sleeve that he clearly hadn't noticed. "Hey," he said, standing with a smile. "You're even prettier in person." That was super cheesy, sorry. Maya laughed, instantly at ease. I was going to say the same, but now it's going to sound like I'm just returning your cheesy compliment. Well, technically you are, Lucas grinned. But I'll take it. They talked for 3 hours. There were no sparks flying, no overwhelming chemistry making Maya's heart race. It was comfortable, interesting, real. Lucas talked about his exhausting hospital shifts, and Maya opened up about her difficult design clients. They discovered they were both introverts whose friends constantly tried to drag them to parties. Both preferred quiet nights over packed bars. That was nice, Lucas said when they finally got up to leave. Would you want to do this again sometime? Yeah, Maya answered, and she meant it. Their next dates followed the same pattern. Simple dinners, walks in the park, a movie night where they watched something terrible and spent half the time laughing at the plot holes. It wasn't the emotional roller coaster Maya had experienced in past relationships. There were no mind games, no stress over unanswered messages. Lucas showed up, consistently, honestly. After 2 months, when Lucas kissed her for the first time, right outside her building, without a dramatic soundtrack or cinematic rain, Maya felt something different. Not a swarm of intense butterflies, but something softer. A quiet certainty. A feeling of oh, here you are. So, Lucas said, still cupping her face gently. I really like you. Like, a lot. And I was thinking, do you want to try this? Us? For real? Yes, Maya said, sealing her answer with another kiss. And that's how their relationship began. No grand gestures, no breath-stealing moment. Just two people deciding they wanted to keep choosing each other. The first months were genuinely happy. Maya loved how Lucas always texted her after his night shifts just so she knew he was safe. Lucas adored the funny little notes Maya hid in his things whenever she spent the night at his place. They developed private rituals. Friday nights were for cooking together, Sunday mornings were for breakfast in bed and lazy conversation. It wasn't perfect. They argued sometimes, of course. Maya got frustrated when Lucas grew too quiet instead of saying what was bothering him. Lucas got annoyed when Maya worked late and forgot to eat. But they talked through it. No shouting, no slammed doors. Just honest conversations, sometimes uncomfortable, but always respectful. You two never fight? Maya's best friend, Sophie, asked during lunch, about 6 months into the relationship. We disagree, sure, Maya said. But we talk it out. Sophie made a face. That sounds so... I don't know. Boring? Like, where's the passion? The drama? Drama isn't passion, sophomore drama is just drama. You know what I mean. Sophie leaned in, voice dropping into a conspiratorial tone. Like, are you guys in love? Do you get that crazy feeling when you're with him? That fluttery, heart racing, can't stop thinking about him thing? Maya thought about it. She did think about Lucas often. She smiled when his name popped up on her phone. She missed him when their schedules kept them apart for a few days. But butterflies? Heart racing? Not really. I feel good with him, Maya finally said. Safe. Happy. Safe, Sophie repeated, and something in her tone made Maya feel defensive. Maya, you're 27. You shouldn't be looking for safe. You should be looking for amazing. For that love that knocks you off your feet, you know? Sophie's words lingered with Maya. That night, lying beside Lucas as he slept peacefully, she watched his face softened by the faint glow slipping through the window. He looked calm, his breathing steady, one hand resting lightly on her hip. Maya felt happy. Safe. Sure. But was that enough? Should there be more? More intensity, more passion, more something? She pushed the thoughts aside and snuggled closer. Even asleep, Lucas instinctively pulled her into his chest. For now, this was enough. It had to be. But the seed of doubt had already been planted. The following weeks brought more comments, more subtle comparisons that slowly chipped away at the quiet certainty she'd once felt. At a co-worker's birthday party, she and Lucas were chatting with another couple when the story of how they'd met came up. It was literally love at first sight, the woman, Clara, said, eyes sparkling. I saw Marco crossing the street and thought, that's him. I just knew. I felt the same way, Marco added, kissing Clara's forehead. It was like the universe hit pause just to show me she existed. That's beautiful, Maya said, and it was. But something tightened in her chest. What about you two? Clara asked, turning to them with curiosity. How did you meet? Tinder, Lucas said with an easy smile. Nothing too dramatic. Oh, Clara replied, unmistakably disappointed. Well, at least it worked, right? The way she said, at least, made Maya want to defend them. But defend what, exactly? There was nothing wrong with how they met. Still, compared to Clara and Marco's cosmic love story, Tinder felt small, ordinary, dull. Social media only made it worse. Maya's feed was a constant parade of couples on exotic trips, elaborate proposals in picture-perfect settings, passionate declarations collecting thousands of likes. Sophie had just started dating a musician and posted constantly about how intense he was, how he was unlike anyone she'd ever met. "He writes me poetry," Sophie said one night when they grabbed dinner. "And not the cheesy kind. Real stuff. Deep." "That's nice," Maya replied, genuinely glad for her. "It's amazing. It's, you know, that feeling of finding someone who just gets you on a deeper level." Sophie paused, her expression softening into concern. "You and Lucas have that?" Maya thought of Lucas. He didn't write poetry, but he always remembered to ask for her order without onions. He didn't post grand declarations online, but he always checked in about her projects, and actually listened. He wasn't dramatic, but he was there. Always. Consistently. "We have our own thing," Maya said, though it sounded defensive even to her. "Of course," Sophie replied quickly. "Of course you do. I think you deserve more, you know? Something special. More. Special." The words echoed in Maya's mind. What was more, exactly? What made a relationship special? And why was she suddenly questioning something that had made her genuinely happy? Her mother didn't help. The first time they had dinner together, she was polite to Lucas, but Maya could see the appraisal behind her eyes. When Lucas left the table to use the bathroom, her mom leaned in. "He's sweet, honey. But, that's it? Don't you want something with more?" "I don't know. More chemistry?" "We do have chemistry, Mom. You two act more like friends than a couple, that's all I'm saying." That one hurt more than Maya expected, because a small part of her, a part growing louder with every comparison and every fairy tale love story she heard, was starting to wonder the same thing. Were they just friends who kissed? Or was this what real, adult love was supposed to look like? What if everyone else was right and she was settling? What if something bigger, deeper, more extraordinary was out there waiting, and she was wasting time on something ordinary? Later that night, as she and Lucas washed dishes in her kitchen, she watched him humming along to a song on the radio, passing plates to her with an easy smile, perfectly at ease in their shared silence. Was this love? Or was it just convenient? The doubt, once allowed in, began spreading like weeds in a garden. And without realizing it, Maya started watering it. 2 weeks later, Maya ended the relationship. It happened on a Sunday afternoon, in Lucas's apartment, surrounded by the remains of the breakfast they'd made together. Lucas was telling a story about a funny patient when Maya cut in. "I think we should break up." The silence that followed was heavy. Lucas looked at her like he wasn't sure he'd heard right. "What?" I think we're better off as friends." The words sounded rehearsed, hollow. Because they weren't hers, they were everyone else's. "Where is this coming from?" Lucas asked, real hurt in his voice. "We were fine. I thought we were fine. We are fine. That's the thing. We're just fine. Comfortable." Maya felt tears sting her eyes. "But I feel like I should be feeling more. More passion, more intensity. Everyone says that when it's real love, you just know. And you don't know?" Lucas finished for her, his voice low. Maya couldn't look him in the eyes. I need to find out if there's something more. Lucas was quiet for a long moment. When he finally spoke, his voice was steady, but she could hear the hurt underneath. Okay. If that's what you need, I get it. I'm not going to make you stay. And that was it. No yelling, no theatrics. Just two hearts breaking quietly. The months that followed were the roller coaster Maya thought she wanted. She went out with a photographer who took her to interesting places and made passionate declarations, then disappeared for days without warning. Then came a finance guy who showered her with expensive gifts but never had time for an actual conversation. There was intensity, sure. Passion, drama, moments that felt straight out of a movie. But there was also inconsistency, emotional games, and a deep loneliness Maya hadn't felt since before she met Lucas. "How are you?" Sophie asked over lunch months after the breakup. "Great," Maya lied. "Meeting interesting people." Sophie studied her. "You look tired." "I'm just busy." But that wasn't true. Maya was exhausted. Exhausted from trying to feel something that compared to the quiet certainty she'd had with Lucas. Exhausted from chasing a fantasy sold by rom-coms and social media. Exhausted from being with people who were exciting but didn't really see her. She'd catch herself reaching for her phone to tell Lucas something before remembering he wasn't there anymore. Little things reminded her of him, a thriller novel in a store window, the smell of coffee in the morning, a joke only he would get. The real turning point came on an ordinary night. Maya was on a date with someone extraordinary, an artist who spoke passionately about his work and how they had some kind of cosmic connection. He was saying exactly the kind of dramatic things Maya thought she wanted, but all she could think was, Lucas would never be this pretentious. And then it hit her. Lucas never tried to be extraordinary because he didn't have to be. He was genuine. He showed up. He saw her, not an idealized version, but her. And she had thrown that away because it didn't come wrapped in the theatrics society told her she should want. Maya realized she'd confused the lack of drama with the lack of love. She'd traded real depth for superficial intensity. Their love was extraordinary precisely because it was truthful, steady, and real, not performative. She excused herself from the date and went home, heart pounding. She picked up her phone over and over, wanting to call Lucas, but didn't. What would she even say? "I'm sorry, I was wrong." She had broken his heart. Maybe it was too late. 2 weeks later, fate, or simply the smallness of Boston, put them in the same place. Maya was at the neighborhood laundromat when she saw Lucas walk in. He saw her too, and for a moment, they both froze. "Hey," Lucas said softly. "Hey." Maya felt her heart race in a way it hadn't in months. "How have you been?" "I'm okay." "You?" Maya took a deep breath. She could default to politeness, pretend everything was fine, and let him walk away. Or she could be brave. Truly brave. "I messed up." Lucas blinked, surprised. "What?" "I messed up," Maya repeated, the words spilling out. "I broke up with you because I thought I should be feeling something different. Something more dramatic, more intense. But I was chasing a fantasy. And I lost you because of it. What we had was real, Lucas. It was love. I was just too scared and too confused to see it." Lucas was silent, processing. Maya could see the storm of emotion on his face, hope, hurt, caution. "Maya," he said at last, "I'm not that guy from the movies. I never will be. I work crazy shifts, I like quiet nights at home, I'm not going to write poetry or pull off grand romantic gestures. If you're looking for extraordinary in the traditional sense, that's not me. But it is you, Maya said, tears streaming down her face. You're extraordinary because you're real. Because you show up. Because with you, I get to be myself. I don't need poetry. I need someone who remembers I hate onions. I don't need grand gestures. I need someone who texts me when he gets home so I know he's safe. Lucas stepped closer. Are you sure? Because I can't do this again. I can't invest in us if you're going to wake up in a few months and decide you need more. I'm sure, Maya said. For the first time since we broke up, I'm completely sure. You're the amour I was looking for. I just didn't know how to recognize it. Lucas pulled her into a hug, and Maya felt like she'd stepped back into her own home. No dramatic music, no perfect movie moment. Just the two of them, in a quiet laundromat, surrounded by the hum of machines. And it was perfect exactly because of that. We're kind of ordinary, aren't we? Lucas murmured into her hair. Maya laughed through tears. Extraordinarily ordinary. And in that moment, they both understood the truth. There was nothing ordinary about choosing real love over romantic fantasy. Nothing ordinary about building something authentic in a world obsessed with appearances. Their relationship was extraordinary precisely because it belonged to them, honest, imperfect, real. They started over slowly, learning each other again. But this time, Maya wasn't comparing. She wasn't chasing more. She was present, grateful, steady. Because sometimes, the most extraordinary love is the one that doesn't need to shout. It's the one that whispers, steady and true. I choose you. Today and tomorrow. Not because you're perfect, but because you're real. And that's more than enough. 2 years later, Maya was in the small apartment she shared with Lucas, sorting through old photos for an album. She paused at a picture from their first date, both of them smiling, but without the dramatic intensity people expect to see in passionate couples. It was a simple, honest photo. What are you up to? Lucas asked, bringing 2 cups of coffee and sitting beside her on the floor. Looking at our story, Maya said. And thinking about how happy we were even when we thought we shouldn't be. Lucas smiled, picking up the photo. You know what I think now? That all that time we wasted doubting, it was necessary. Because now we know. Really know. Maya nodded. She had changed so much in those 2 years. Not just outwardly, though she had stopped comparing their relationship to everyone else's on social media, but inside. She'd learned to separate what she truly felt from what she thought she was supposed to feel. Sophie called yesterday, Maya said. She and that musician who wrote her poems broke up. Turns out all that intensity wasn't enough to make up for the fact that he was never there when she actually needed him. That's sad, Lucas said softly. Is she okay? She will be. And you know what she told me? That she was jealous of us. That she realized she spent so much time chasing fireworks she didn't notice we had something that lasted longer. Like a campfire, she said. Warmer, steadier. Maya picked up another photo, this one from the day they reconciled in the laundromat. A friend had snapped it without them noticing. They were just hugging, surrounded by humming machines, and it was perfect precisely because it was so imperfect. Do you regret it? Lucas asked suddenly. Ending things? All that time apart? Maya thought carefully. I regret doubting us. But I don't regret the journey. I needed to learn that lesson. I needed to chase the fantasy to understand I already had the real thing. And what if you never realized it? Lucas's voice carried a rare vulnerability. But I did, Maya said, taking his hand. And you know why? Because what we have is real. And real things have weight. You can try to ignore them, bury them, replace them with shinier imitations, but they're still there, waiting for you to come home. Lucas kissed her softly. You've gotten very wise. I was very stupid first, Maya laughed. It balanced out. She kept organizing the photos, and one made her stop. It was from their wedding, a small, intimate ceremony with just close family and a few friends. No elaborate venue, no exotic backdrop. They got married in the same park where they had their first coffee date. My mom still shows our wedding photos to everyone, Lucas said, noticing which picture Maya held. She says she's never seen a couple look so happy in such a calm way. Calm, Maya repeated. 2 years ago, that word would have sent me into a panic. Now I know it's a compliment. Her phone buzzed. It was a message from a coworker, Jessica, who had recently started dating someone. Maya, I need advice. I met an amazing guy, but I don't feel those crazy butterflies. Does that mean he's not the one? Maya glanced at Lucas, who was flipping through the album, and felt that steady certainty she always felt around him. It wasn't wild butterflies. It was something deeper. More grounded. She typed, butterflies are great, but eventually they fly off. What matters is how you feel when they're gone. Do you still want to stay? Do you still choose that person? Do you feel at home? Because real love isn't always intense, it's just right. She sent it and returned to the photos. Lucas had found one from a backyard barbecue with friends. Nothing special, just an ordinary Saturday. But everyone in the photo was laughing genuinely. You remember that day? Lucas asked. I do. You burned the burgers. You tried to save them with strategic seasoning. And they were still awful, Maya laughed. But it was perfect anyway. Because we were together, Lucas finished. Maya leaned against him, feeling the solid comfort of his presence. You know what I love most about us? What? That we don't have to be extraordinary to feel special. That our best moments are the simplest ones. That we can sit in silence and be perfectly happy. Like now, Lucas murmured. Like now. They stayed like that for a while, surrounded by photos from a life built not on grand gestures or cinematic moments, but on thousands of tiny daily choices. Choosing each other over breakfast. Choosing each other after a hard day. Choosing each other even, especially, in the ordinary moments. Maya, Lucas said eventually, thank you. For what? For coming back. For choosing me. For not giving up on us even when everyone said you should. Maya turned to face him. Thank you for waiting. For letting me make that mistake. For loving me enough to let me go and still being here when I found my way back. Always, Lucas promised. And Maya knew he meant it. Not because it was dramatic or intense, but because it was simple, honest, and real. She looked at the nearly finished album, a visual timeline of a love no one would applaud in a movie, but that held two real lives together. A love that didn't need to impress anyone because it wasn't performative. It was lived. And Maya finally understood, the most extraordinary love is not the one that makes other people stop and stare. It's the one that makes you stop searching. The one that, when you close the door and the world falls away, is still there. Solid. True. Yours. Let's add more photos to this album, Maya said. A lot more. Decades more, Lucas agreed. And as the sun set through the window of their small apartment, lighting up piles of photos from ordinary moments that together formed something extraordinary, Maya smiled. Because she had learned the most important lesson. Sometimes, the bravest thing you can do isn't chasing overwhelming passion. It's having the wisdom to recognize, and the courage to choose, the love already in your hands. Enjoyed the video? Smash that like button and subscribe for more awesome stories.